Hello and welcome to the Let It Ride podcast, coming at you to preview week 6 in the NFL, which kicks off tomorrow night with the New York Giants taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Coming at you a day early this week, just because of some work scheduling things. I know last week we came at you early because we had to get that Thursday night play out, which ends up losing. Brian Robinson Jr. over 16 and a half yards. He ends up getting to 12, only getting 5 carries in that game. Really thought that the 49ers would be running the ball a lot more with the backup quarterback, with all their receivers hurt. Joke's on me. Kyle Shanahan decides to drop back to pass 50 times in that game. Can't hate on him because they end up winning the game, but definitely did not see that game plan in the cards. So we'll take the loss there. Also had one of the worst gambling beats of my life with the Cardinals minus 7.5. Amari DiMarcado running that ball into the end zone. Looked like the Cardinals go up 28-6. We're on our way to an easy cover. Upon review, he supposedly drops the ball at the goal line. I still think it broke the plane, but that's neither here nor there. He fumbles the ball. The touchdown comes off the board. The Titans score. They cut it to 9. Looks like we get a game-sealing interception. Up 9, thinking, okay, we're fine. We're still going to cover our 7.5. The ball gets fumbled and ping-ponged around. We're covered in the end zone. All of a sudden, the Cardinals lose that game outright. So one of the worst beats, one of the worst outright losses really in the history of the NFL. The Tennessee Titans needing every kind of miracle just to get wins and covers. Spoiler alert, we will be fading that team again next week. I am not going to be fooled by a bunch of outlier miracles that happened for them to get that win and that cover. We're going to go right back to fading that team. But as for last week, gave us our first losing week since week 1 because we didn't get that cover. Did get winners with the Texans against the Ravens and the Lions covering against the Bengals, but 2 and 3 last week on the top 5 best bets. So looking to get back on track. Really should have been 3 and 2. Should have had that Cardinals win, but looking to come at you with maybe a 4 and 1 week this week. And let's dive right into the Titans taking on the Raiders. The Raiders a 4.5 point favorite at home. The over under sitting at 41.5. And on paper, this is a matchup of two of the worst teams in the NFL. Both teams are bottom 7 in points per game allowed, bottom 3 in points scored. But when you look at the Raiders, they're 16th in yards. The Titans sitting at 31st. So the Raiders do move the ball more so than their points per game would indicate. They're 15th in passing. Third down, the Raiders are 16th. The Titans dead last. So the Raiders move the ball. They move the chains. They are the better team in this matchup. And I just have to wonder, what is this line if Amari DiMarcado just runs the ball into the end zone and the Cardinals go up 28-6 and run away with that game? I think we might be sitting here looking at the Titans maybe plus 7.5. This is a team that, like I said last week, 3 and 18. So now 4 and 18 in their last 22 games. Just suppose, like I said, Amari DiMarcado just runs that ball into the end zone. Then we're looking at this 3 and 19 against the spread Titans team the last 22 games. And I really think this line could be much higher. I'm not going to let a bunch of miracle outliers persuade me from thinking this team is not terrible. They are absolutely terrible. The Raiders might not be a very good team, but they are worlds better than this Titans team. This is a Titan team that allows 5.0 yards per carry on the ground. That is the 5th most in the NFL. I think you see Ashton Jeanty have a big game in this one. Vegas on the other side has the 9th best run defense in the league. Sneaky good on run defense, led by Max Crosby, a guy that can get after the passer, but his contributions on run defense really get overlooked just because pass rushers always, they get the credit for the sacks, but Max Crosby, one of those pass rushers who can play the run pretty well as well. So this is a Raiders defense that I think is at least halfway decent, not very good, but they're not to the level of bad of this Titans defense or this Titans offense. Taking the Raiders minus 4.5, not thinking too much about it. Going to keep fading the Titans and Brian Callahan. They can't keep getting miracles week after week. That is going to move us on to the 49ers taking on the Bucs. The Bucs a 3-point favorite at home. The over under sitting at 47.5. And this is just going to be a fun matchup. I think it's the best game on the slate. We have 2 top 5 passing offenses, both teams top 11 in converting third downs, top 10 in total offense. But then you go to points per game. The Bucs 7th in the league in points per game, which matches their yardage output, but the 49ers 22nd in the league in points per game, despite the fact that they have a top 10 offense as far as moving the ball. The red zone woes, they score on just 42% of their red zone trips. That is 28th in the NFL. But on the other side, Tampa Bay allows touchdowns on 71.5% of their opponent's red zone trips. That is 29th in the league. So really weakness versus weakness matchup. I think the 49ers figure it out. They put the ball in the end zone a few times in this game. And on the other side, this Bucs offense, an absolute buzzsaw. They should be getting Bucky Irving back. Rashid White filled in admirably last week. And Emeka Egbuka quickly becoming a very clear number 1 receiver in the NFL. So even without Mike Evans, he potentially could come back this week. But even without him, Egbuka and Chris Godwin and Cade Otton really have this Buccaneers passing attack looking great. Baker Mayfield playing like an MVP. And Tampa on the other side allows 6.8 yards per pass attempt. So a really good 49ers passing offense, regardless of who the quarterback is, whether it's Purdy or whether it's Mac Jones. This team has been able to move the ball through the air, particularly to Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield, who's been doing really well catching the ball, not necessarily very well running the ball. Like I said, this 49ers team does not run the ball well, but McCaffrey out of the backfield, whoever's at quarterback, I think Kyle Shanahan will have a good game plan for the offense in this game. So I'm taking the over 47.5. Like I said, it's the best game on the slate. Two fun offenses. Why not sit back and just root for points? It's a fun way to enjoy this game. And let's get that one out of the way because my next couple of bets are not very fun. We are going to be betting on some bad teams, fading some teams coming off of emotional wins. So letdown spots for our next two picks. First game, the Patriots taking on the Saints. The Saints, a 3.5-point underdog at home. The over-under sitting at 45.5. The Patriots coming off of a huge emotional win over the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo on Sunday Night Football. I think this is a huge letdown spot for them, playing their second road game in as many weeks, going to New Orleans after that emotional win. This Saints team, not as bad as I thought they were going to be. They're still not a very good football team, but Spencer Rattler, he is at least an average quarterback. Coming into the season, I thought he was by far the worst starting quarterback in the league. There are definitely every week worse quarterbacks playing than Spencer Rattler. The Saints have a really good passing game with Shaheed, with Olave, with Spencer Rattler. And on the other side, the Patriots allow the second most yards per pass attempt in the NFL, only ahead of my woeful Dallas Cowboys passing defense. So this Patriots passing defense, not very good. Like I said, they're coming off of that emotional win. Huge letdown spots. Bad passing defense for the Patriots. I'm taking the Saints plus 3.5. When Spencer Rattler's passing props are released, I'll likely be taking an over on him as well. This Patriots pass defense, not very good. Patriots likely win this game, but I think the Saints can keep it close at home. I'm calling this a 24-21 Patriots victory, which means Saints plus 3.5 will be the play. That is going to be what we are going to take here, and that is going to move us on to another letdown team, the Jaguars, coming off of an emotional win against the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football. Now they're playing on a short week against a really good Seattle team, the Jags, a 1.5-point favorite at home. The over/under sitting at 46.5, and I really think the Jags, coming off the emotional win, playing on short rest, really offsets something that gamblers have really keyed in on the last few years, and that's the West Coast team traveling east to play in an early kickoff. So this is a 10 a.m. local kickoff for the Seattle Seahawks, and they're traveling east to play this game. So usually you fade teams in that spot. But like I said, the Jags minus a day rest because they played on Monday night and coming off of a huge emotional win. I think those two things kind of offset. So you take the travel for Seattle, you take the extra day, but you add the extra day of rest. I think it kind of cancels itself out there. This is a Seattle team whose defense I think is way better than they looked last week against an absolutely incredible Buccaneers offense. They're allowing 3.3 yards per carry. That is the second best in the NFL. Like I said, I think this defense is really better than they showed against Baker and that Bucs team last week. They gave up 38 points in that game. They have not allowed more than 20 points in any other games this year. The Jaguars really struggle against the run, allowing 4.6 yards per carry. That is 22nd in the NFL. You might think, oh, that's not too bad. But they have the Cincinnati Bengals that they've played, who are the worst rushing team in the NFL. They played the San Francisco 49ers, who are 28th. The Houston Texans, who are 16th. The other two games on the schedule, Carolina ranks 10th, KC ranks 11th. So not exactly a murderer's row of rushing teams, and the Jaguars have still gotten regularly gouged in their games. So I think this Seattle team is going to be able to move the ball on the ground. On the other side, I don't think the Jaguars are going to be able to. Like I said, the Seattle defensive front allowing the second fewest yards per carry in the NFL. So the Jaguars, I think, are going to be one-dimensional in this one, and I'm not counting on Trevor Lawrence to have back-to-back good games. I've been waiting on that guy to turn into a top 5 quarterback. He's a guy I was high on coming out of the draft. He's yet to prove it. I'm not counting on seeing it 2 weeks in a row. I think this is a letdown spot for the Jaguars. Give me the Seahawks plus 1.5, and that is going to move us on to Monday Night Football. It is the Bears taking on the Commanders. The Commanders, a 4.5-point favorite at home. The over/under sitting at 49.5, and I've been circling this game all year. I think this is the ultimate revenge spot for the Chicago Bears after the awful loss on the Hail Mary last year. A Bears player was celebrating in the end zone as that Hail Mary was in the air. He ends up being one of the ones that gets beat for the game-winning touchdown for the Commanders. So I think this is the ultimate revenge spot for the Bears. When you look at the victories for the Commanders this year, they beat a banged-up Chargers team who has injuries all along their offensive line. They're down to their third and fourth string running back. They beat the Giants in week 1 with Russell Wilson, and they beat a really bad Raiders team. When they've stepped up in class, they lost to the Packers and they lost to the Falcons. So this is a Commanders team that I don't think is as good as their 3-2 record would show. But as much as I came into this game ready to take the Bears, ready to just take the Bears plus 4.5 and run with it, I had to pause after doing my research on this game because the Commanders are the best rushing offense in the NFL. On the other side, the Bears allow the most yards per carry in the NFL. So this is a bad run defense going up against a really good rushing offense. Um, I think the Bears are going to be able to throw the ball in this game. This Commander secondary is not very good. So I like the over in this game, but I also like the Bears in this game. So I found a way to kind of sort of like a one-game teaser. We are going to get a little bit fancy on Monday Night Football. We're going to buy the Bears up to plus 10.5, and we're going to take the total down from 49.5 to 43.5. 44, a pretty key number in NFL total. So Bears plus 10.5 over 43.5. That's going to pay out at your typical minus 110 wager. So that is going to be the play for Monday Night Football. The teaser of the week this week, we're going to go back to the Seattle Seahawks. I like the Seahawks plus 1.5. I really like getting that line over a touchdown. So Seahawks plus 7.5. Just have to keep that game close against the Jaguars. And we're going to take the Eagles down to -1 on Thursday Night Football. Don't think that they're going to lose a back-to-back game against the Giants. So the teaser of the week, Seahawks plus 7.5. Eagles -1. And recapping my top 5 bets, we are taking the Bears plus 10.5, the over 43.5 in the same game. We're taking the Seahawks plus 1.5. We are taking the Saints plus 3.5 against the Patriots, the over 47.5 in 49ers Bucks. Finally, the Raiders -4.5 against the Titans. That is going to do it for my picks and the podcast. Thank you for listening, and I will see you guys next week.